He that has a bountiful eye shall be blessed, giveth of his bread to the poor. Chapter 22, verse 9. Proverbs. Let's do it! Now. Good afternoon, folks. This is Hard Hat Conversation. The day is February the 14th, 2025. I'm your host, Richard. I'm stationed here in Cleveland. This is a podcast about learning some true information. Hopefully, we can find some solution as we talk about the problems that's going on in the world and in our local communities. So, let's do it. First thing I like to chime in on is Black History Month. I like to celebrate those who celebrate Black History Month. We know it comes every year in February, and hopefully we celebrate it every day by showing peace and love and helping our fellow man out. All right, I'm gonna jump into New York City real quick, folks. Like I said, like, subscribe, and please comment. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York. 2 years ago, folks, or three, he was one of the darlings of the Democratic Party. Like I said, we live in a construct that I gotta say, black, white, blue, green, Democrat, Republican, and I gotta do those constructs, even though I could say we're just one human race, but I have to use those, so, excuse me, folks, bear with me. Eric Adams in New York, he's just one of the mayors. There was another mayor in Chicago. His name, I can't even think of right now. Chicago mayor that's right now. And I'm not just picking on them because they black and it's Black History Month. It just happened to happen that way. And a lot of the major cities that are over 50% black have black mayors. And not saying nothing wrong with that, just pointing out a true fact, folks. So when we start blaming things on other races of what's going on in our community, then we need to look at ourselves, because a lot of those black cities have had minority leaders for a long time. So I know they can't fix everything, but folks, they can fix some things. They can keep some things down to a minimum. But it seems like to me that a lot of them are not doing what they supposed to be doing. Once they get in office, they just take care of their family and friends. And that's Hard Hat Conversation's opinion. I got the right to an opinion. Because guess what, folks? I'm a taxpayer just like you are. And they live off your tax dollars. So you have every right to disagree and agree with them on what they do with their policies and everything. So Eric Adams brought in a lot of illegal immigrants. And yes, folks, whether we like it or not, they are illegal. We have laws, just like I have to follow laws, you have to follow laws. I need a passport to go in some other country, so should they. And if those that need some asylum, we need to vet them and take in a few at a time. Can't take in hordes of them, because we got homeless, we got a lot of people on Section 8, a lot of people on welfare, and we have a lot of our own issues. So, like I always said, till you take care of your house, you can't take care of nobody else's house. And folks, let's get on these other countries. Let's start calling out Mexico, Venezuela, Haiti, and all these other countries that don't do nothing for their people to keep the population, to keep the poor down. Jamaica and stuff like that. Let's call them out like it is. People are hurting. We know everybody can't be rich, but at least everybody can have fresh water and fresh food. I think that should be a common thing. And like I said in my last podcast, water and food is life-giving. We shouldn't even be paying a lot of money. We shouldn't be arguing about eggs and stuff. Why come the government won't step in and lower the prices and and cut us a check with our tax dollar for some eggs. They send money over to Ukraine, Israel, and all these other wars. What about helping out the American people, the poor? Or do you care about the poor? Or just your family and friends? Hard hat conversation. Like, subscribe, comment. So now they after Mayor Adams. They put charges on him. Some of them could be true. Some of them could be false. You know how the political game is. Some of it's right, some of it's wrong. But he put himself in that situation, and now he got to pay the price. Now he's trying to see if he can wiggle out of it by jumping to the winning team, which is Donald Trump. He won the election. Yes, Donald Trump, I'll help you with these immigrants. I'm not going to fight you like some of these other major cities. And I'm going to snitch and tell you where they at and who's doing it and who's helping them. As long as you cut me a deal, I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back. That's basically what it is, folks. You don't need no college education to understand that. And I get it. Sometimes you have to do those things and sometimes you shouldn't do those things. So that's hard-headed opinion. So let's roll with it. Disagree, like, subscribe, comment. Federal workers. I was a federal worker for a while. I was in the United States Army. So I was a property of the United States of America. You know how they put that stamp on your clothes and always say property, even when it makes me laugh, folks. But when I was in the Navy, even when you go on leave, they give you this thing called a per diem. It's money they average out how much it should cost you for 3 meals a day. So they give you extra few $100s during the week that you're gone because they want to keep you fed and healthy. So when you need to go to war, you're ready to go, So they used to call it a per diem, I think, back then. It was funny. I learned a lot of that stuff. I was a young man. I didn't know nothing about that stuff, man. But it was just interesting. So the government know how to take care of its own. But that was back then in the 80s. I don't know about now. They slack it now, folks. You got these new age people coming in, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you call them or not. I don't know. Are they Americans or are they just? I don't know what you call them. There's no pride anymore. And don't give me that America racist. And of course we got some racism down here. Of course we got crime. Of course we got hate and love. We got all that stuff, folks. But we keep it down to a bare minimum, right? We had the Civil Rights March. Dr. Martin Luther King used religion to help with the cause for those today who hate religion and still love Dr. Martin Luther King. He used religion and he stood by it and said God helped him through everything. He didn't say he did it by himself. So take that with a grain of salt, folks. And he did make some changes. A lot of y'all living good. Basketball players, rappers, business owners, people who went to Harvard. Black people is in everything. Minorities too, women too. When he signed that civil rights bill, mostly women benefit from it. That's the facts. Other minorities, Chinese, Latinos, Arabs, Indian people, everybody benefited from that. The black folks shed blood and tears. That's the truth, folks. But yet, this Black History Month, folks, got to keep it real. So we got all these other people that come in this nation. And not saying all of them are a lot like that, because a lot of the different races did help whenever they can. It was a few, but the few helped. But a lot of them benefit from our sweat, blood, beaten by dogs, batons, couldn't move in certain neighborhoods, like Shaker. That's in the local Cleveland area, folks. I'm sorry, because I'm based in Cleveland. The local people know what I'm talking about. Shaker Heights. There was a time where they put up concrete on streets where they didn't want black folks to move in. Palmer, Ohio. Let's be real, folks. Let's not get mad. Let's tell the truth. Even in Slavic Village, right in Cleveland, Maple Heights, Lyndhurst, Mayfield Heights, Cleveland Heights. Let's call it like it is, folks. These places that they didn't want minorities, especially blacks, they did not want them to move in because of the stereotypes, the negativity that the news and everybody else pointed out. But a lot of that changed now. We still got a few pockets, but it's to a point where we can deal with it. It's not 70% like it was back in the old days when my parents was growing up in Jim Crow laws. So what's our excuse now, black folks? It's Black History Month. What's our excuse? Lack of resources? Well, you always say lack of resources. Well, you got a lot of black politicians in charge. Where's the resources? I know welfare is one resource, whether you like it or not. Welfare is a resource, but it's a temporary one, not a life forever one. Thank God for welfare, because if we didn't have a welfare system, blacks, whites, and all other races would have be like third world countries, living out of mud huts, going down to Lake Erie with a bucket of water, hunting for food. So the welfare system is a blessing. But like I said, with everything with the good, it's always the bad. All right? Remember that, folks. Please like, subscribe, and comment. This is Hard Hat Conversation. We're telling you the truth. Whether you like it or not, it's the truth. So let's try not to be a victim all the time. I know you hear this word a lot, but it's true. No white person coming down there breaking in your cars, black people. No white person down there selling drugs on the next door neighbor house. No white person dropping trash in their yards. No white person shooting guns at somebody's house. I'm just focusing on the black community. It's Black History Month. I live down there. So don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Some people say, oh, don't air your dirty laundry. Every time the police come down there, you're airing your dirty laundry. Every time you call 911 and the news come down there, you're airing your dirty laundry. Don't let the white folks see what's going on. You letting them see what's going on. I don't want to see what's going on. It's terrible. And we got to stop that amongst ourselves. Quit pointing the finger at outside sources. Fix what's inside first. Then we can start tearing down barriers. Because it seems like we can't do both. You want to tear down the white barrier, but you don't want to tear down the black barrier. Let me tell you about the black barrier. Drugs, bad rap music. Nobody's coming back in the community giving back. Things like that. The white barrier. Oh, not hiring blacks because they black. Don't want them to live in your neighborhood because you think all of them are dirty and no good and uneducated. Stop that. We want the same thing as you guys want. In the past, we tried to get together, but we had to do marching and civil rights laws just to get it. Let's be honest, it's hard hat. If I'm going to talk about one side, I'm going to talk about both sides. Let's be fair. You guys never had to march, the white side. You never had to march to get your already God-given civil rights. We had to march. We had to bleed. Don't forget, we fought in World War II. My father fought in World War II. He was segregated. They had him as a minesweeper. You know why? Because he was black and he was, what they call that, collateral damage. To help save the white soldier. He fought in the Pacific. Yeah. All that's history. All that's real. So we come a long way from that, folks. But it's part of our history. We have to talk about it sometime. It's painful, but we do. We do. Just like the blacks have to talk about their issues in their in-house. So do the whites. So do the Asians. Think about Asians coming there. Koreans came in our neighborhoods, opened up restaurants and stuff. Do any of them ever give back to the neighborhood? The Arabs, do they ever give back to the neighborhoods? Come on, folks, let's be real. Everybody that made money in the black neighborhoods take their money out to certain places where they live at, the suburbs. We're good enough for you to open up a business and take our money, but not good enough for you to spend your money in our neighborhood or support our children. It's a shame, folks. But that's the mentality. You come from one country where you're hurting, and you come over here and make it good, but you frown on the other people that was here, don't even know their history. And if you did know their history, it seemed like you don't care. And you don't understand the pain sometimes. I know some of us can get out of hand. I get it. But that's life. Some of you get out of hand. I think every cause that when you see something with the poor or something going on, you always see a black face there because they understand the pain. They understand the battle. I think a lot of the other minorities forgetting about the battles. I know everybody always trying to look to blame something on somebody, a race, a neighborhood. We're good at that. We have to stop that. We're one human race. Like I said before, if that neighborhood is tore up, sooner or later, that trash gonna be up in your yard one day. One day. All right, folks, let's get back in business. Federal workers. Like I said, I was a federal worker before. I understand they pain. Some of them, they got to lose their jobs or take a buyout. I lost my job, been on unemployment before. It's painful. Everybody got families and stuff like that, but the federal government is a business. It's the capitalism world we choose to live in, folks. Business is cut all the time. So I don't know what the uproar is about. Besides, like I said, I can feel your pain losing your job. But it's not nothing out of the norm, or is it just because Donald Trump is president? Are we playing that politics game? Could be. Every politician, always, Democrat or Republican, always coming in there talking about they want to cut the fat. All of them do it. Go back in the records. Obama, all of them. All the way back. George Bush, all of them. Who's that guy that said no new taxes? Was it George Bush's dad or the son? Obama them said it. Bill Clinton them said it. Come on, go back. YouTube it. It's nothing new. So I'm just saying to the federal workers, I feel your pain, but you just like all the regular workers. It happens. But all this marching and going crazy, I don't understand that. I really don't. It's okay to disagree with it, but let's not get too crazy. Let's try to find another job or take the buyout or do something like we do. Not beating you up. I'm just telling you that's the facts. That's the law. And if the law that he can do it, then he can do it. It's like any other job. They get mad, they move into Mexico or to another state. You either move to that state or you look for another job if they got that position open for you still. It sucks. That's capitalism. We all experienced it. As long as you're working, you will experience it. All right, folks, let's move. I'm going to go local now. Back to my home state, Cleveland. Cleveland Public Schools I want to talk about real quick for a minute. Because a lot of the people are mad at Trump because he was talking about giving vouchers. You know George Bush did that. I told y'all before on my podcast, I had one for my daughter before. I paid a certain percentage to go to a Catholic school and stuff like that. You know, trying to do better and give her an upper hand and stuff. Whether she take the upper hand or not, that was up to her. But here's the thing. I like vouchers. There's a lot of poor people in the city of Cleveland and Chicago and all those other minority cities are going through the same thing with their public schools. Because most of the public schools, all they focusing on is crime now, not education. That's a fact, Jack. It's crime. We just got the governor saying he's going to give money to something, to do something in the schools, more metal detectors, something. I forgot what it was. It's all about crime, not about education. Sometimes I feel like they don't want you to learn nothing so they can keep a cheap labor force. That's just hard-head conversations talking, folks. Like, subscribe, comment. It seems like they need a labor force. Yeah, that's reality. The rich need a labor force sometimes. Am I lying? Hey, the farmers, they telling you right in your face on the news. Without a lot of these illegal aliens, who gonna pick their crops? Because American workers won't do it. Well, you know why American workers won't do it? Because you won't pay enough. You need to pay a livable wage, farmers. You get a lot of subsidies from the United States government, a lot of you. Pay your workers a livable wage. Come on. Tell the truth, folks. This is hard truth talking. American workers are lazy. You're a lie. They're not lazy. They're not dumb. They're a little more educated. They want more money than sit out there picking in them hot fields all day with their back benders, with their little babies and kids. It's horrible. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And then you build places where they live right by that farm so they don't have to go far. And you probably charge them rent and then get money back on that end. So you pay them that unlivable wage, because any wage is better than no wage when they coming from their own country like Mexico or Venezuela. You pay them $5 an hour, at least they can get some bread and some meat or something. And back in the other country, they couldn't get nothing. So they don't know what the difference between an honest, decent wage than nothing. You'll take anything to eat. I know I would. I come from a country where I didn't have nothing to eat, and I come to the United States illegally, and they pay me $5 to pick vegetables an hour. I think I'm in heaven, because I don't know no better. But you know who know better? That farmer that's getting those subsidies from the United States to keep that farm going. He know better. That's why he want them. That's why he hush-hush. This is hard. We always tell the truth here, folks. I'm sorry. Got to tell the truth. No half-truths. Got to tell the truth, folks. People suffering, and people always using people. Them same people like Lamar, what's his name? Kendrick Lamar. Just pointing him out because it's more of them, not just him. That's out there talking about fight against the system. He doing good in the system, ain't he? Didn't he win 5 Grammys in the system? Ain't he a millionaire in the system? I'm about to say Samuel L. Adams. That's that beer. Samuel L. Jackson? He up there dressed like Uncle Sam. Talking about get away from the system. You too ghetto. Be yourself. He played along the game, telling us play the game or don't. Well, he must have played the game. He rich. Serena Williams up there crip dancing. I think she moved out when she was 9 or 10 years old. She stayed in Compton, what, 7 or 8 years? What's that all about? praising some gangs and stuff. The same gangs that terrorize your neighborhood, shooting people. Little kids can't walk down the street. Ask some of those ex-gang members. They'll tell you how stupid you are. It's a shame, man, on national TV. Is that what our culture is? Black folks? If I talk like that, am I Uncle Tom or am I just telling the truth? You don't even know what an Uncle Tom is. Uncle Tom is you by not telling the truth. By supporting those bad behaviors that's hurting your people. Yeah, you hurting your own people by crip dancing because they're going to see all that garbage and think it's cool and they're going to grow up and do the same garbage and fall in that trap. Rapping about all those stupid lyrics ain't uplifting nothing. Trying to send hidden messages to white folks telling them we know what you're doing and system corrupted. But yet you a millionaire off the corrupted system. Tell you what, I want you to come down to some of these cities in Chicago, Cleveland, excuse me, folks, everywhere and do a speech about how you got out of that and how you being positive now, raising your family in a nice white neighborhood with clean cut houses and grass. But yet you're going to tell us don't play the system. But you playing it every day so you can live out there amongst the white folks. Stop this garbage. When you see racism, call it out. But don't call it out just to sell records. Just because you run into one incident. Come on. Be real. Black folks, wake up. Don't fall for that trap. I'm finna hit you hard again. This Hard Hat Conversation. My name Richard. Like, subscribe, comment. I was talking about the Cleveland Public School a minute ago. Do you know they Trump? I was getting off track with that, folks. I'm sorry. Trump want the vouchers. Remember I said that? And people fighting again. He gonna take away the Department of Education. Blah 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 blah. Well, folks, do you know that the Cleveland Public School system uses their buses to haul kids to charter schools and private schools? Charter schools and private schools. Isn't that taking resources from the public school that they hollering about? Donald Trump trying to take resources from the public school? Isn't that taking resources? I think so. Think for a minute. Private school and charter schools. But yet you got people out here marching and going crazy. We don't want no vouchers. We don't want our kids to go to the ones that live in the poor neighborhood that can't afford to go to these schools to try to get a better education and a different way of life. We don't want them to go. We want them to stay in the same garbage school where there's word about security and crime and getting beat up and bullied and not learning nothing. We want them to stay in those schools. We love our babies. Baloney. I tell you what, all those people that making those decisions, tell them to come to Cleveland Public School. When you come down there to your board meetings and you down there teaching, bring your kid down there so he can learn how to in one of those classes. I bet your kid ain't going to none of them schools, the majority of you, if you got kids. I bet you the majority of them ain't going to none of them schools that they so-called teach in, that they so-called vote on how to run the schools, those CEOs and board members. If I'm wrong, like, subscribe, and comment. I'm telling y'all the truth. Real quick, another one on the Cleveland Public School, and I'm going to let y'all go. This from Signal Cleveland. This stuff I'm getting is from Signal Cleveland. Like I said, I mentioned them before. They're a newspaper online. They telling the truth. Please donate to them if you can. $1, $5. They giving good information out. Signal Cleveland. Look them up. They're local, and they're giving us real deep, good information. And like I said, I'm going to keep riding with them until they get off the bus. Once they get off the bus, I'll leave them alone, just like everything else. As long as they keep telling the truth, I'm going to ride with them. If they stop telling the truth, I'm going to have to go look for another truth bus. And we got every right to do that, folks. Just because you've been riding with something and it was good for you for a while, and if they get off the train trash, get off the train. You don't want to crash with them. Well, they've been good with me for 20 years. Well, after 20 years, they're getting crazy. So get off the train. You got every right. Signal Cleveland said that everybody was praising the school system because they went from, listen to this, folks. It's very important. Listen, put your drink down. Listen, put your hearing aid on. Put your ears in. Listen. Signal Cleveland report that they was praising the school system because they went from a 2.5, Cleveland Public School, to a 3.0. They went from a 2.5, folks, to a 3.0. Woo, that's a big jump, ain't it? I don't think so. That's why the other CEO just ran off and they got another one to come in and make money. I tell you, man, it's like everybody, it's like a gravy train going on. And here's another one. Hold tight. Hope you're sitting down. Cleveland Public, while they praised them from going from 2.5 to a 3.0, half point, while 70%, listen, while 70% of the district east side schools did not meet state standards. 70% of district east side schools did not meet the state standards. And we know the state standards is as low as they can go. 70% of the east side. And y'all worried about crip walking. These are the same babies that we're going to have to deal with when they become adults. And if they learning like this, 70% of the district on the east side did not meet the state standards, what do you think they're going to become? You sit back and think about that while you worry about what Kendrick Lamar and Samuel Jackson and Serena Williams and all these other actors and pro sports and politicians and all these other clowns up here that living good, and you down here in this hellhole with 70% of the district east side schools did not meet state standards, and you worried about what they doing and what they saying. Get out of here. Ain't none of them coming down here to help you. You better start helping yourself and tell your neighbors they need to get together. They need to get out of this mess. This is terrible. Somebody should go to jail for this, stealing money. School system should be shut down on the east side. 70%. If that was a business, it'd be out of business. You don't keep nothing open losing 70%. You can't afford it. So what do? You cut it. Isn't that what Trump trying to do? You cut it. I don't know what the outcome going to be is, but man, you can't let this keep going on. You got to make some type of changes. I don't know what'll happen. We'll see, but we got to start somewhere. The babies are dying. They hurting. They growing up to be nothing. And guess who's going to be their victim? Me, you, and everybody else out there that don't give a darn about them. This is ridiculous, folks, and we worry about some crip walking and stuff. This is Hard Hat Conversation. Y'all have a blessed night. Y'all think about what I said. This is crazy, folks. See ya.